So this is the truth that not many people want to sit here and talk about. I mean, I'm saying outside Bengals fans, obviously, that they want to say, oh, well, Joe had T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and, he had the best two receivers. If any of these other quarterbacks had the best two receivers, then they'd be absolutely amazing. They would have 17 Super Bowls. So I see that narrative all the time. By the way, shout out to Ian for posting this on Twitter. But this is the actual supporting cast ratings, right? Based on not just receiving and your receivers, but also based on your pass blocking, your run blocking grades, and everything over the last 5 seasons. Everything except passing over the last 5 seasons. I don't know why he says everything except passing, because this is also receiving. Well, I guess except for, quarterback passing. Sorry. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about everything but the quarterback stats themselves. So everyone else, right? And again, keep in mind that Jamar Chase has missed some games because of injury. Same thing with T. Higgins. And that's what they're taking into consideration is injuries, players leaving. The Chargers, for example, Herbo, I get on him a lot, but, Keenan Allen has had his fair share of injuries. Austin Eckler has had his fair share of injuries, right? Mike Williams as well. So, when you look at it in a grand scheme of thing, this is how it all breaks down. So, over the last 5 years here, we can see the worst team is the Jets. They've had the worst, overall supporting cast on their team, offense, defense, all together, right? Okay. It makes sense. I mean, they've been really bad over the last 5 years. I don't think they've actually been to a playoff game, I want to say, since the Sanchez time. So, Giants, ironically enough, they did actually make the playoffs 2 years ago. And they've had the second worst. Jaguars, third worst. Okay, they were really bad for a long time. Chargers, fourth worst. And again, I know everyone wants to get on, Herbo. And I myself, I do it a lot too. But he has had a lot of really top-end talent get hurt for him and not be able to be healthy. Chargers, Steelers, okay, Panthers, and then Bengals. So, to the argument, right, and keep in mind, a lot of the reason why the Bengals are this low is, yes, because of injuries. Jamar Chase has only played, I'm not Jamar Chase, sorry, T. Higgins only played 60% of his career so far because 40% has been injured. It's also offensive line. And we've had some good defenses over the last 5 years. Some really good defenses, in my opinion. But with injuries to our defensive players, which we've had a lot, right? Obviously lost some defense players as well. Plus offensive lines, in especially the last 5 years. I mean, last year I feel like was the best. But outside of last year, even, I would say, last year feels like the best. And last year was an absolute trash offensive line. I feel like 2022 was the best. Overall wise. And again, we still dealt with injuries. Beside the point. With all of our trash offensive lines, it really does bring us down all the way here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are the 6th worst supporting cast in the NFL when you put everything together. Not just receiving core of, the Bengals have the best receiving core. We might have the best receiving core when they're healthy and on the field. But also, it goes with offensive line. It goes with defense. It goes with everything. And where are the Chiefs? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The 5th best over the last 5 years. So, again, the narrative I love is, well, Joe has the best receiving core, therefore, he shouldn't have any, he clearly should be winning Super Bowls. If the Patrick Mahomes had these, these receivers, he would be winning 17 Super Bowls. If Joe had the supporting cast of this team right here, he would easily be up there and winning Super Bowls. If he had the supporting cast of the Ravens, he'd be up there and winning Super Bowls. And you might say, well, what about the Ravens receiving core? The Ravens receiving core was freaking trash. Excuse me. They also had a really good offensive line. And they also had a really elite run game. Now, you could say a lot of that was Lamar Jackson. but we're taking out the quarterback from this equation when it comes to supporting cast. We're talking about supporting cast around the quarterback, right? So we're not talking about the quarterback here. So the run game has been very elite for the Ravens over the last 5 seasons. They've had really great defenses, and they've also had, not the greatest receiving core, but a decent receiving core. So Ravens are number 2. Again, if Joe had this supporting cast, he would be a Super Bowl champion 1,000%. And again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. My point is, if you give a quarterback good offensive line, number 1, he's going to be able to go and win a Super Bowl. If you give a quarterback a good receiving core, yes, he can only do so much with it. If the guys get injured, well, then he's kind of crapped out of luck, right? So there's a lot of things that you got to take in consideration when it comes to supporting cast. Because again and again, it is the age-old argument against Joe is, oh, well, Joe has the best receivers in the NFL. When they're healthy and on the field, I agree. But also the fact is, around that, other than that, it's not really that good at all. And 30th in 2019, right? Obviously 2019 before Joe. That was a year before Joe. Joe's rookie season where he gets hurt and he's out for the season. 28th supporting cast. Tell me, well, Joe's injury prone. Say, Joe's injury prone, right? When he had the 28th supporting cast around him protecting him, I don't think that's injury prone. I think that's a fact of you're setting your new quarterback up for failure. Second year, this is his second year. He goes and wins. Doesn't win it. He goes to the Super Bowl and comes one drive away from winning it. 16th supporting cast. 18, this is 2022. Gets to the AFC Championship game and comes one drive away from going to the Super Bowl again. Okay? Last year gets hurt, 22. It's no crazy situation here when you look at, okay, Joe gets hurt, Joe has problems, rest of the supporting cast sucks. If you go up here, right, and if these were the numbers you saw, like the Ravens numbers here for Joe, and Joe gets hurt in 2020, gets hurt in 2023, and he can't win a Super Bowl either of these 2 years, I'd be sitting here saying, wow, I love Joe, but we need to get it going, right? He has the team. He really doesn't. Now, I'm not saying, I think this year is our best year team-wise. And that's an interesting statement, right? Because we had Jesse Bates and Von Bell, and I think our Super Bowl year was one of the best, but I think this year is better. Because we actually have an offensive line to protect Joe. We actually have more receivers if guys get injured. We have a defense now that can shut down the run. We have a secondary I feel very confident in to play at a high level. This is our best year. By far, through all these other years. Again, the Super Bowl year may be questionable, but even that offensive line wasn't that good. This is our year, guys. This is our year. Let's get it. Let's roll. Who dey? Who dey? Who dey think will beat them Bengals? Who dey? Who dey? Who dey think will beat them Bengals? Oh, body.